In Putin's army, things are very bad, not only with armored vehicles, but also with other military transport. A striking example of this is the recent attack of the Russian armed forces on the positions of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, using a vehicle manufactured in 1990. The Russian armed forces use such models to transport their infantry across a strip that is patrolled by drones and which is heavily mined, Forbes reports. On the one hand, the car has a hard roof, but it certainly won't save you from an artillery shell, only from natural disasters. However, other light off-road trucks, Luaz-1302, were recently spotted in the ranks of Putin's army. The most interesting thing is that these vehicles are an exclusively Ukrainian product. They were produced in Ukraine between 1992 and 2002 at 2 factories. Since the losses of Russian armored vehicles in 3 years have reached 20,000 units, which far exceeds the ability of Russian industry to directly replace each destroyed tank. Infantry fighting vehicles and armored personnel carrier. Russian regiments regularly attack on foot or in civilian cars, vans, trucks, all-terrain vehicles and motorcycles. In one of the recent attacks, the Russian armed forces were observed using 4 ATVs, 31 motorcycles and 10 units of heavier transport, including a Luaz-1302. As a result, the Ukrainian drone operators quickly unraveled Putin's attack aircraft. The Luaz model, which some OSINT analysts initially mistook for a Lada, also remained on the battlefield. The Luaz-1302 was designed by Lutsk Automobile Plant in 1992. It was a modification of the model 969M. In total, almost 2,000 models were produced and 50% of them were exported to Poland. Behind every army, there is a vast network of supply lines. Each day may require hundreds of thousands of pounds of food alone, not to mention water, ammunition, medical gear and other supplies. And then there's oil to power the tanks and trucks, which are instrumental in bringing troops as well as more supplies to the front lines. None of that is easy in Ukraine for the Russian army. Russia's military campaign has suffered several setbacks and been plagued by logistics issues.
Ukrainian army continues assaults on border Kursk region where Russia has been making gains in an attempt to regain swathes of lands captured by Kiev since last August. In yet another attack on Russian positions, Ukrainian Air Force struck a bridge near Nyazy settlement in Kursk region with Su-27 fighter aircraft. A video published by the Ukrainian military in social media shows the Ukrainian assault that resulted in the bridge's semi-destruction with a hole appearing on the bridge. The attack came amid Russia's recent gains in the border region where Ukraine launched surprise cross-border incursion last August. Russia has been seeking to recapture territories captured by Ukraine in an attempt to have upper hand in peace negotiations. In March, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited Kursk region for the first time since the start of hostilities in the area last year. The Russian Defense Ministry in March announced the recapture of 5 villages in the region. It should be noted that recently Ukraine has been using Western bombs, including American high-precision GBU-62 aerial bomb and French-developed Hammer bombs. Ukrainian army has struck with MiG-29 fighter a Russian army command post in Oleshki city in Ukraine's southern Kherson region. The strike was delivered with American high-precision GBU-62 aerial bomb provided to Ukraine as part of U.S. military aid. A video posted on Telegram channel of Ukrainian military shows the moment of the strike followed by a strong explosion in the command post. The precise strike by MiG-29 killed Russia's high-ranking officer staff along with military equipment in Oleshki, the Telegram channel reported, stressing that such strikes deprive Russian forces of clear control, while also significantly demoralize the manpower. Ukrainian Air Force has stepped up attacks on Russia's command posts and positions both in Ukraine and across Russian territory. On March 27, Ukraine's Air Force struck the Pogor border checkpoint in Russia's Bryansk region, destroying its military infrastructure, and reportedly killing between 15 and 40 Russian soldiers. It should be noted that Russia has rejected US-brokered 30-day ceasefire along the entire front line.
The prospect of Russia's disintegration is not in sight. However, decentralization will increase in the aggressor country and each republic will have its own leader. The state may become Russian feudalization. This was stated by the military political observer of the information resistance group Alexander Kovalenko. During a chat on Glavred, he said that Russia is likely to face not collapse, but rather feudalization. I have never believed in the collapse of Russia and do not see such a prospect. But the fact is that the Russian Federation can turn into Russian feudalization. That is, there will be feudal allotments in each region, in each district. In each republic, there will be its own local oligarch boss. There will be a feudal system, no decentralization, the analyst noted. He also added that power in the country is maximally centralized, so there will be a rollback. When Putin came to power, the process of centralization of power began in Russia, and now it has reached its peak. In the future, it will be the other way around, decentralization at the level of feudal allotments, that is, Russian feudalization, emphasized Alexander Kovalenko. Earlier, former Deputy Minister for Occupied Territories Georgy Tuka said that within 3 to 5 years, preconditions for destabilization of the situation in the Russian Federation may appear, but so far there are no such grounds. Unfortunately, I don't see any such grounds. First of all, I don't see any real mechanisms that would be capable of significantly worsening the economic situation of the gas station country in the short term. It's quite difficult to imagine the reaction of a person who goes to the toilet outside to the threat of an increase in the central bank rate, says Tuka. At the same time, according to him, some grounds for destabilizing the situation may appear within 3 to 5 years. And here we can recall how the Soviet Union collapsed in its time, competing with the states. However, there are certain grounds for a 3 to 5 year perspective. After all, the Soviet Union died in its time precisely because of the US position on sanctions policy and drawing the sick economy of the USSR into the arms race. Now they are already saying that Reagan's Star Wars were a bluff, perfectly orchestrated and played out thanks to the corresponding information policy, the American intelligence services, which made the Soviet intelligence services believe. Since the potential enemy needed to respond to the threat, there was nothing left to do but get drawn into the arms race, based on the fact that the economic potentials were simply incomparable. This led to the collapse of the USSR. After all, 80% of the country's economy was forced to work for the military-industrial complex. No country in the world would withstand such a load under any circumstances, Georgy Tuka emphasized. Russia may follow the path of the collapse of the Russian Empire, believes former deputy chairman of the SBU, retired SBU Major General Viktor Yagun. The country may face serious troubles due to ethnic and economic problems. Russia will collapse in 8 months if the attacks on its territory are stepped up and international pressure is increased, suggested Mikhail Podolyak, an advisor to the head of the presidential office. In his opinion, the collapse of the Russian state is possible even this year.